So many highlights in just 27 races this year in the Virgin Australia Supercars Championships. We welcome you back to the Cotai Sydney 500, the Touring Car Masters on the circuit for race number 1 of their championship finale. That guy there earlier today, John Bowe, claimed his 100th career pole position, and our own Kylie King caught up with him prior to the start of this race.
The team's still celebrating the 100 pole positions for John Bowe, but you're taking it all in your stride, really, aren't you?
Well, it's not a big, I mean, I know it's an achievement, and I'm, very pleased for it, but it's not something I dwell on. I'm not a stats man, I like the now and the future.
Mind you, I reckon you count championships.
Oh, I kind of do sometimes, when I'm having a down moment, I count them and think, I feel better about myself. But, I mean, the car was great then, and this track is about risk and reward, and I took the risks and got the reward. So it's not something I'd planned to do, but, I saw Stevie J go out and I know what he's capable of. So, I thought, bugger, I'll have a crack.
And that championship, obviously you're right in the mix, and you would dearly love another one, wouldn't you? Well,
yes, of course I would. Someone has to win the championship, but, I mean, it's not why I do it. I do it because I love it. And I do it because I race with a lot of great guys, and the cars are fantastic things to drive. They're really wayward, and that's why I do it. But someone has to win the championship, so I'm going to try to.
A list of achievements that would go right back to Sydney CBD if we spend our time talking about them. John Bowe, 100th career pole position. We'll take a look at some qualifying highlights soon. 2 Bathurst wins with the guy that joins with this one, the legendary Dick Johnson alongside me for this one. A huge moment for John Bowe earlier today.
Look, I know he plays it down, JB, but that's just the nature of the beast. To be quite honest, he'd be really thrilled about that, and so he should be.
Jason Gomersall, there's some highlights from the qualifying session earlier today. Glenn Seaton, who was quickest in practice yesterday, could only manage a start on the inside of row 2. We all hoped that this would happen, and he got the job done. The previous 2 times the Touring Car Masters have been here, John Bowe only qualified on the front row. This was Mark King having 3 or 4 attempts at getting that chicane correct, wasn't he?
Yeah, he did a good job in the end.
It's Glenn Seaton rattling the Thunder Road Racing Australia entry. It's scary to watch when it's in slow-mo.
Yeah, it is really, really something that they need to get fixed, because on slow-mo that looks dreadful.
It was bad at Adelaide last year and only just snuck back in during practice yesterday. Same too for Steve's car.
Yeah, well, I think it's, they've got very, very, very similar suspension in the front, so at the end of the day, they have the same characteristics. So I think you'll find that they'll find a way around it.
Sure, hope so. Now it's Mark King finally getting the chicane right down there at turn 6 and 7. He'll start out of position 7, a man from King Springs fame. Glenn Seaton will start from 3rd position for today's race. Johnson from 2nd, and John Bowe, like we said, his 100th career pole position, and searching for his 5th Touring Car Masters crown, going in as the series leader, and this is the final round of the championship. So the car's out on the circuit, and what I do love about this, Dick, is the fact that we do rolling starts for these guys. It's a very narrow approach onto the main straight.
Well, rolling starts for these cars, and not for the simple reason of getting down to turn 1 at the wrong speed or anything like that. It's just the fact that, the equipment that's in these cars, standing starts with the type of clutches they have and that, and the way they'd like to start them today is somewhat different. But it puts too much stress on the components, and what we really want is to see every single car out there finish the race.
Yeah, exactly right. We do like it, but it is a short approach to the start of the race off that final turn, as they're on their formation lap right now for a 9-lap race around here. The sun has broken through finally. It was very cloudy this morning, which gave us those super fast times.
Yeah, the sun really does have a huge effect on the track temperature itself, which then tends to go into the tyres, etc., etc. And, obviously inside the cab it gets a bit warmer too. But, today these, not so much these guys, but maybe 1 or 2 of them do have cool suits. But, the wussy blokes in the supercars, they've got to have their cool suits and that.
You shake your head at that still, don't you?
Well, it's something that now that they work properly, I think they're a huge advantage. And because the temperatures inside these cars really does get up around the 60 plus degrees Celsius, and that, your body core temperature really, you don't need it, going up too high, otherwise it can create some dramas.
It's the final round of the Touring Car Masters Series here at Sydney Olympic Park, the final swan song around this famous Sydney Olympic Park street circuit, and the cars forming up the 15-car grid this championship deciding weekend. Dick Johnson is alongside me, Matt Nolte, for this first race of this weekend for 9 laps. John Bowe and Stephen Johnson on the front row. Glenn Seaton and Jason Gomersall on the second row. Adam Bressington and Tony Karamfilowski start on the third row. Mark King and Eddie Abelnika, the man in second place in the championship at the moment behind John Bowe. Cam Tilley and Jim Richards will start from the 5th row. Back to Mercer and Tilley. Rusty French playing a low-key effort back there in 13th, and Darren Bill aboard the HQ Monaro. Looking forward to this race around here. This is Wayne Mercer's on board. The Victorian, the Big Falcon, right in the passenger seat. The concrete canyons of this iconic site host the Sydney Olympic Games back in 2000. And we come down towards the start of this race. Looking from Adam Bressington, that's Tony Karamfilowski on the outside, and Jason Gomersall as they stack up. And they come down the main straight, ready for the start of the grand final weekend of the Touring Car Masters. I don't think it's a better start. How good was that, Dick?
Awesome, mate. And JB's car, like, I know it's only got a 5-litre engine in, or 305, but at the end of the day, it's got a fair bit of grunt, and Stevie's not giving him certainly any room, that's for sure.
Perfect start from the front row. They were glued to each other, and John Bowe will slot back into second as Steve Johnson takes the lead aboard the Super Falcon, the tribute car to Pete Gagan, down to the chicane for the first time.
And I tell you what, Glenn Seaton, he's just in the right position, and he'll have a go at JB because he wants to get in front of him because he knows his car's fast too.
Another guy we're going to keep an eye on is Eddie Abelnika in the Melbourne's cheapest cars entry, car number 48. He's second in the championship. What a shot through here. Right on the edge, aren't they?
They certainly are, and that is probably the most treacherous part of the whole circuit because, as we've seen in the past, a lot of people have come undone there, and especially when it gets wet. We know what that's all about.
And touch wood, no one's hit that wall so far. It's been this corner that's caught out so many. The run down onto Dawn Fraser Avenue.
And the experienced guys too. So it's obviously one of those corners that, with the camber change, it really changes things really bad.
Johnson's still got that castle wobble down there. Here's Bressington down the inside of Gomersall and gets it done. Difficult to do down there.
It is difficult, but you know, when you're on the inside like that and you've got a couple locked up, you really don't have anywhere else to go, and it's well done by the Tirana, because at the end of the day, that could have been a serious bit of a bang.
You can jump on the brakes all you like, but it's not going to turn the car.
Correct.
Gomersall on the back of Adam Bressington, having a great day out already in the Bob and Sharon Middleton owned number 95 as he pulls out. It's a weird part of this track here because it opens up, then it closes, then opens up again.
It does. It really gets narrow down at turn 1, and then it sort of opens up again. But because obviously the pit lane there sort of makes it, a lot more room, so you can end up with 4 abreast going into turn 1.
Gomersall all over the back here of Bressington, who's driving it right down the middle of the road. Defensive as you like as we come down to the chicane here on lap number 2. And Steve Johnson, a 1.76 second advantage already. That's big.
It is at this point in time, but at the end of the day, there's a long way to go.
Wayne Mercer running back in the field at the moment in 10th position ahead of Jim Richards, who's lost a spot down to turn 5. This is how narrow it looks from the onboard.
Mate, don't you love the gear sticks in these things? They're
huge.
They're longer than Grandma's undies, I can tell you.
Well, I'm glad you said it. I don't know where to go with this now.
Well, they wear long johns, don't they?
Replay of the start between Johnson and Bowe. Side by side, there's like a magnet that held them together. All the way down to turn number 1. Seaton just sat back with the popcorn to see what would go on here and who would move out the way.
Well, I think, both Steve and JB knew damn well that they're going to give each other enough room, and JB's got a championship to look after too. So
this is from Bressington, right on the limiter.
On the limiter, right. Yeah.
There's about 2 seconds worth of limiter down to the bottom.
And he's got 2 a turn and 2 a burning, and yep. Oh.
You and I both cringed then. That beautiful Tirana. We don't want to see any marks on it.
No way.
And this time he got it done.
He got it done.
Very, very hard to do it down there. It just is so sharp. These 90-degree left and right-handers. Just want to look, and a long way back too.
Well, it's nothing worse than having the rear axle up at the end when you're trying to get into a corner like that.
A big concrete wall in front of you. The tyre barriers are soft, but they still can do some damage if you hit them hard enough.
Well, they're having a good go too, because these cars next year, I think you're going to find there's a lot more going to be around.
Oh, this is Brad Tilley. We didn't see this car out in qualifying today. He's the brother of Cam Tilley. They had some issues with this car, and I don't think they've been cured.
No, that's bad. It's unfortunate because, these guys spend a lot of time and effort to get these vehicles here, and And one would hope it's not a serious problem.
Well, they had a drama with Cam Tilley's car earlier this year at Adelaide. They virtually pulled the car apart overnight. They still couldn't find why they had an oil leak. It's a frustrating game at times. You know it well, don't you?
It is, and, you know, even though these days all the gaskets and that you get for the engines are so much better, but, boy, in the old days you used to see them driving around like pie carts, weren't they?
Down to the backside of the circuit, turn 8, we're watching Wayne Mercer and Jim Richards. Here's Bressington and Gomersall down at the chicane. So Gomersall in the Matt Stone prepared two-door Tirana. Oh, he's going to put some damage on the back of the Bressington car, albeit slightly. Here's Rusty French, a guy you know very well.
Yeah, Rusty's been around for a long, long time, and he's had some good cars, and obviously enjoys what he's doing because he just keeps coming back. And there's Bressington.
So Bressington has found the wall this time, and that's at turn 11, behind the back of the train station here at Sydney Olympic Park. It's going to be difficult. In fact, he's not even attempting to get that car out of there, and that might bring out the safety car.
I would suggest that will, because it doesn't look as though he's trying at all to be able to get anywhere. And that's the shortest gear lever I've ever seen.
So Gomersall, so there might be two parts of this story. That's just away from him.
It is.
In the escape road.
In the very next corner.
We'll see him pop out.
Yep.
There he goes. So is there more to this story? Bressington in the fence.
Replay.
So, will we see the IC Tirana? Oh, he lost it on his own.
Oh, yes. And he just went up there to avoid an incident because there's not enough room there to get another car through, really.
Smart move.
No, he did very well to avoid that.
So that's Gomersall in the background. Lexus safety car has been called while this replay's on, and great presence of mind to go down the escape road and no damage to the IC Tirana. Now Bressington waits patiently.
Yep.
Front desk, Gomersall coming back from the escape road to rejoin the circuit. So that'll set the field as we're under Lexus safety car here right now. Halfway home in race 1 of the Touring Car Masters here in Sydney. Bressington. So Bressington waits patiently here. Not much you can do in this situation.
Absolutely nothing. And the thing is, I think what he's waiting for really is for the traffic to go past, because for him to reverse up now would just make the situation virtually impossible.
And he can't just look over his shoulder like you can in your road car.
No, I think he actually gets it fired up and then reverses out once the whole field has gone past.
The difficulty too, you know this more than I do, is once the cars get hot, once you stop them, it's hard to start them again.
They do. Because they've got carburetors on, you know, the fuel gets down in through the manifold and that, and they fire them up. Next minute you see flames and everything coming out the exhaust. It's not bad, because once the things fire up, it's fine.
So the sun is out. A big day still to come here at Sydney Olympic Park. The final time we race at this iconic venue before going to Newcastle. I'm sure your team are excited about heading up there next year.
Oh, that'll be absolutely magnificent. You know, this has been a great venue over a period of time, but at the end of the day, I think that the Newcastle track will really, really impress not only the drivers, but certainly the spectators.
That's Brad Tilley. Never a good sign when there's smoke leaking out from the bottom of his car down there. Fighting gremlins for the past 2 days here. Car number 28. Let's hope it hasn't dropped anything on the ground.
Well, there doesn't seem to be a hole on the bottom.
No. So lap 5 of 9, these laps count behind the Lexus safety car. Johnson, his advantage was out to 2 seconds. He broke the lap record too in the meantime. That was on lap 3, 137.19. There's Adam Bressington. So they're going to tow this car back out. The most successful cars inside the podium in the hands of Andrew Miedeke, we talked about during qualifying today.
Yeah, it's been a very successful car, this one, although it's had a colour change since then. But Andrew has won a lot of races in that car, and certainly was involved in a fairly decent incident at Bathurst with Lindsay.
Yes, yeah, that one was talked about for a while, wasn't it? Great to see so many names dropping down into Touring Car Masters as a home for some of the legendary names of our sport, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's a great category for them to still, you know, get their motor racing fix every other weekend sort of thing, because, you know, it's something you just can't stop overnight, you know.
It's an addiction.
Well, it is. You know, it's like any sport, and I think Keke Roxburgh really. I don't know how he's going to handle it, but obviously mentally he's put himself in a situation where he said, that's it, I don't want any more, and he's retired.
That was a shock to the system for everyone today when we woke up. He won the World Championship last weekend, Nico Rosberg, and hangs up the helmet.
Mate, that's something that doesn't often happen, but you've got to give him 10 points because at the end of the day, he finished at the top.
Sometimes it's easy to bow out like that.
Oh, talking about bow, well, he's still bowing, isn't he?
That wasn't a planned pun, but I'll go with it. In comes the 95 car, so it should be maybe one more lap behind our Lexus safety car as it cruises into shot right now. Your team in the background right now setting up for the 250-kilometre race today. We've gone back to the traditional format here. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, that's fantastic, mate. And the same with Adelaide at Clipsal. We're back to the 250k races, which, you know, and I only ever raced there once because the first race was 99 and that was the last year, and that was just a magnificent event, and it has been ever since. And to be back to the original format, I think, is something that was needed. It really didn't need a change because it's a really good event.
I think your quote that time when the Adelaide 500 was announced was you've only got 2 chances to mess it up now instead of 3.
Exactly right.
But no one would have picked that back in the day. When Adelaide first came on, like the street circuits, you won the first race on the streets of Adelaide back there in 85. To go there as a championship round and have that crowd that we saw there for that first year, that's when supercars really arrived, didn't they?
It really did. And, you know, the event was so well organised and as you say, so well attended. It really sort of made the grounds for supercars to be able to get out there and make the most. And you've got to give a lot of people sort of a tick there, including like Tony Cochran, who put all this stuff together, and that, which I think was absolutely fantastic. And the CEO at that point in time was Wayne Caddock, who did a magnificent job.
Sport's certainly in strong hands as we continue behind the Lexus safety car. Stephen Johnson, John Bowe, Glenn Seaton.
And to see these cars with V8 supercar rounds or supercar rounds next year is really, really, it's going to be fantastic.
And it keeps the fans of all ages entertained as well.
Yep.
As we start to get older, we look at these cars and they bring back a lot of memories. The Lexus safety car lights are out here at Sydney Olympic Park. We're getting set for the restart here on lap 6 of the Touring Car Masters after Adam Bressington found the wall down here at turn number 11. And now this compresses the field.
It certainly does. And what do they say? Safety cars always breed safety cars. And
so you do the cursing for this one?
Well, if you're in the lead and you've got a 2-second lead, I suppose you're saying, oh, damn.
Yeah, but, here we go again.
But here we go again. But the guy that could probably take advantage here is Glenn Seaton.
Watch Seaton third in position. Tony Karafalowski doing a good job there, 2 and 4.
Yeah, absolutely. But he didn't read it properly. Glenn didn't read it properly. He should have been right up the back of JB.
Stephen Johnson read it very well. He leads us back around at lap 7 of race 1 of this year's championship finale. The first time that Touring Car Masters have been to Sydney Olympic Park since 2011.
Yeah, it's been a while since they've been here, so you know, this is pretty new to a lot of these drivers. They haven't been here before, and it is a very daunting racetrack. And as you can see, Mark King took a few actions to get it right a couple of times. You know.
Getting the rust out the system.
Exactly right.
Through they go through the tricky chicane, and then the track really gets narrow on the run behind the back of the Kudos Bank Arena to turn number 5. Love how you see the cars lean through turn 5. Really fast corner.
Extremely fast. They actually, you brake reasonably hard for that. These cars are in a straight line, every bit as fast as a supercar.
And their brake packages over the years have gotten better. I've talked about it all season long. That was their Achilles heel in initial days. He had 1 or 2 laps worth of brakes and it was over.
And dinky little brakes on them with brake pad technologies come a long, long way, and certainly so are the tyres. So, you know, this is a situation I think that these cars really deserve to be able to show their full potential.
10 years and 77 rounds later, it's very, very strong in 2016 as Stephen Johnson heads down to turn 11. He might want you to commentate more races if he picks this one up today.
We can never know.
Through the backside of the circuit, Glenn Seaton in 3rd position. Fast in practice yesterday, but started from 3. So we're going to go 1 lap short. As through they come. Johnson, big margin again, 1.3 seconds. He just knows how to get away, doesn't he?
Well, he certainly, the car was fast from when they first rolled it out here, which is really good. And even though originally when he came out, it had the wrong diff ratio in. They had a 3.7 in, which put the engine into an unhappy in an unhappy zone. So they put a lower diff in a 3.9, and he said it's a lot better. So and that's obviously showing now.
For those keeping an eye on the championship at home between Bowe and Abel Nika at 17 points, extended now towards Bowe. Abel Nika's back in 7th position. It's down to turn 5 for the final time. John Bowe looking likely to have to settle for 2nd here in race number 1. Down to the turn 6 and 7 chicane. 3 cars under the previous race lap record by a good 2 seconds.
Well, bear in mind it was 2011,
yeah.
So one would hope they've come somewhere over the last 5 years. So
a lot has changed.
A lot has changed.
Down Dawn Fraser Avenue they come, the roller coaster underneath the United Bridge. And now into the series of rights and lefts.
I think the Ford should call that caster wobble Mark King.
Oh, there's more to that. You can see the marks in the background. And now he's found the wall. He's not going to be able to turn the car down there. One wants to go left, one wants to go right.
They've got a bit of toe out there. I'd suggest it's got broken steering.
Severe wheel alignment required for that car, but Stephen Johnson will come out the final turn and pick up race 1 of the Touring Car Masters here at Sydney Olympic Park by 1 second. Flash of the headlights, and the Super Falcon wins.
Poor dear, and I tell you what, that'd be a great car for somebody because it's been well sorted.
Not so the King Springs entry. It's been touched up front and rear, side on. That could have been 2 cars in the fence.
Well, fortunately, Mark's smart enough to know that he drives on the left-hand side, so it's not too bad.
So this is good pickup.
Yeah.
So it started at the top here on the run. We saw this at the 86 race just before. They were side by side, hard to do. He tried the switchback, but it happened halfway down. He set himself up for a nice old drag race as he pulled out.
And he's covering, Tilly's covering really well.
He got into the back of Tilly, then got into the wall.
I think what he did, he got a flat tyre. When he touched the back of Tilly, I think it either broke the steering or he got a flat tyre. So, and they don't steer well with one tyre on the front.
They're hard enough to turn when all 4 tyres are up.
Exactly right.
So poor King, he's one of 4 DNFs in this race, but Stephen Johnson, 1 second clear of John Bowe, who collected his 100th career pole position earlier today. Glenn Seaton in 3rd, Tony Karafalowski in 4th, and Cam Tilley, Eddie Abel-Nika, Jim Richards, Wayne Mercer, back to Gomersall and Rusty French. So Abel-Nika clawed back a couple of positions there to keep his championship alive, and Leo Tobin completing the 11-car field. So another couple of races still to come in the Touring Car Masters, and a lot of work to do for car number 85 of Mark King.
Yep, Kingy, as you can see, he's got a broken wheel in it, and they'll have it going tomorrow, though. I know what those guys are like. They'll work all night if they have to.
So that car will head back to the pits. We're heading back to the pits as well. Good luck to your guys today too. Dick, thanks for joining us once again.
Thanks, mate. They'll need it.
Looking forward to this. Plenty more still to come as we count down to race number 1 of the Coates Hire Sydney 500 here in Sydney.